So what I'd like to do, I don't want to hold you guys. I put 2 hours on there, and I know if we keep talking, we can stay here for forever. But what I'd like to do is we talked about quite a few issues and opportunities that we have either experienced, understand, or that we feel that needs to be adjusted. So what I'd like to do is to each of us to keep up with each other and to work on a plan of doing something. Some of the big pieces we talked about was the re-victimization, no sensitivity, just getting together with agencies and just saying, hey, what type of intake piece can we do to have a warm handoff? I'd like to be able to call and say, hey, Chantel, I've got a client. Her name is Betty Jo. She's got 2 kids. Do you have a shelter room? Chantel say, I have room, but to verify that she wants to come here, if you can have her call. And I'm like, okay, so now I can have the lady call her and know that she's not calling in vain. And I think that's part of our frustration. But I'd also like to be able to have that same warm handoff to call someone and talk to them and say, hey, Val, I know that your expertise is XYZ. I have a client that needs that, and know that she's taken care of. Even if I follow up and say, hey, Suzanne, how did Val do? She's like, well, Val did everything I needed her to do. But I shouldn't hear, well, she had called me back. She talked to me, heard my story, but she never called back. So when we start talking about and that integrity piece, that piece of understanding each other, that piece of working together and following through with that. And I know that what the reason I do this, so you guys can know where I'm coming from, is when I first started all of this, I jumped out and I was on platforms and I was speaking and I was talking because my whole piece was to help people understand that there's hope after domestic violence and, wanting to help, just kind of like I see a lot of advocates doing. But what I started hearing is a lot of advocates are telling their story to a place that they're bleeding all over the audience. They want to tell the most horrific thing they can hear, thinking that that's how you move them to move out. It's like they want to use the scare tactic. But yet when it came time, and they're calling themselves advocates, but yet when it came time for them to actually help a victim, all they wanted to do was tell them what they did and expect them to follow through. And so my job is to say that there's more to that. You can go and understand what domestic violence is, but I suggest that you teach from a place of healing, that you preach from a place of healing, and that when you speak to your other advocates, that is from a place of you're working on your healing also. So how do we, one, fix how we're serving our clients? Okay. I'm a true believer of starting with us. How do we fix how we're serving and then fix our relationship with each other? That when we come together, we can come together like we have today, express ourselves, listen to each other, and pull together so that we can serve our clients. Because if you listen or even read the chat, everybody here is from a different state, from a different walk of life. And although some of us are new to the advocacy of domestic violence piece, we've got enough experience behind us to change the world. Just us 16 people. So how do we want to change it? What do we want to do? My job is to disrupt the normalcy of domestic violence so that we can figure out a way to eradicate it. Together, how can we do that? And what do we want to do first?